And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, new look today. You had a big week, my friend. But first, tell us how you're doing.
Yeah, new look, same us. I'm well. I'm well, Brad. It's September, as we know. I mean, it's been September for a minute now.
Yeah.
But we're inching closer and closer to October, which is one of the best months to be in Arizona. I don't know about you down in Marana, but up here in the Phoenix area, you can already get a sense of the weather change happening. It's still hot. Don't get it twisted. Today's a high of 99.
Yeah, hot as balls here. It's an inferno. The sun was angry this morning, yes.
But am I accurate in saying the mornings, the evenings, you can feel October. It's given October.
So nice.
So I'm well, like you said, it was a really busy, emotion-filled week for both of us. It looked and felt very different, which perhaps we'll get into, but just a busy week, lots of emotions on various ends of the spectrum. But we made it, doing well, ready for another week, ready for another edition of GI. Of course, we're talking WWE, AEW. Brad, we have a loaded segment. It's not just wrestling here at Gimmick Infringement. Not only do we have an amazing new look, shout out to our YouTube viewers, shout out to the man who created this, my co-host, but we're talking, yeah, that's right. Take your flowers. We are talking Trap Tales. We have a double feature, possibly the first time in GI history.
Yeah, I think
we'll be discussing Beetlejuice, and the Killer's Game. And then finally, we'll get you all set for the the Golden Bachelorette season premiere. We got you covered on multiple fronts. All that being said, I'm excited to be here, Brad Winchester. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. So this week, Tyler, you were able to be the keynote speaker for a very large event. I'll let you tell the people about it and how that came to be. But you texted me or actually voice messaged me about public speaking and having to perform in front of a lot of people. It's different. All the prep in the world, it doesn't prepare you for that feeling when you get up there. There's the anticipation and the expectation, and then you've played it over in your head about what you think might happen, what might be a funny joke here, or what do I think is going to happen there? What do I do if I need to get them back? A million different things go through your head when you're about to speak in front of a large group of people or perform in front of a large group of people. I want to know how it went for you. How'd you feel? And what were your thoughts?
Thank you for
asking. And congratulations. Speaking of taking your flowers.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I humbly accept those flowers. So Be a Leader, they're a local nonprofit organization which works with students and families, primarily grades 6 through 12 students and families, toward everything regarding the college process, access to colleges, helping with applications, everything that goes into one's college search. So I actually partnered with them for my capstone project in graduate school. You may remember, what was that segment title that we had? Not one time in graduate school. It was Graduate School Tales?
Was it? No, it was
Grad School Life.
I don't remember what the hell we called that thing. I gotta find it.
It was like one of those shows where, by episode 2, this isn't coming back.
Well, we brought it back a couple times, and it was always dreadful. And the last time we brought it up, it was like, we should never do this again. Is basically what it was.
Precisely. And here we are. I know you'll find that, but point being, this is an organization that I was familiar with. I had the honor of
This week in grad school.
I would have never remembered that. Okay. Well,
I found the imaging.
Perfect. I had the honor of working with this organization for my capstone project, and they reached out to me last month to say, hey, we have this event coming up. It's our 16th annual. We'll have over 1,000 middle and high school students from the Valley. The event is titled Taking Steps Towards College Success, and we would like you to be the keynote speaker. So I said, absolutely, I will be there. So I had a 10-minute slot, Brad, and the whole motive was we want you to talk to students about why college matters, about how it was impactful to your life and what you're doing now. So fortunately, it wasn't as if I was presenting on a subject unfamiliar to me or one I had to research. It was just figuring out how to summarize my story in about 10 minutes. Tons of students, as you mentioned, and their chaperones, of course, were there. But I thought about you in preparation for this, and certainly the day of, because as you pointed out, you can prepare, you can think of, I like how you said, the jokes and the humor that you want to bring in. But then when you are announced, when the light is on you, it just hits. It hits real different. I thought about you and your acting background, and it went well. I want to say I had great conversations with a few of the kiddos after who came up to me. Felt incredibly blessed to be able to be on that stage, to talk about 4AZ as well. That was part of my speech. So it was incredibly humbling, incredibly rewarding, and it just gave me new insight into those big pressure moments, those public opportunities, public speaking. In your case, your thespian endeavors. It's different. It's different. And we talk about an art form in professional wrestling where this is what men and women of the industry do. So I left with a newfound respect, not only for my partner and one of my best friends here, but also this medium that we enjoy so much. It's pressure for sure, but this event went really well, and I feel incredibly grateful for you and anyone listening who sent kind words my way. Please know how much it meant to me.
That's awesome, because it really is. Number one, I saw the pictures. I'm sure it was awesome. Great to see your mom in attendance. That was really cool.
I buried the lead, and my parents were there, which was
Yeah.
also a whole level of surreal feelings too.
I didn't even see your dad in the picture. I saw you with your mom, and then I saw mom sitting in the audience. I don't know. I didn't notice your dad.
He's a hard man to capture on camera. He's very, very,
talking,
very subtle.
Staying out of the camera.
Humility.
He hears a shudder and he dips. It was really, really cool to see that and see all these people supporting you and giving you your flowers publicly as you shower future generations with love. On that note, if you have any respect for the profession of teaching, and you're listening to this right now, know that teachers care about their kids deeply. Please look after your the young adults, each other, but the young adults in your life, and tell them you love them, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. We lost a student this week, and I've been heartbroken for several days, and it's an incredible loss for our community and for our school and for that family. And I don't want to, out of respect for them, I'm not going to name names or anything, but it's tough, man. Like, it's tough. This is a tough job to begin with, but you and I have spoken about the emotional impact and the connections you make. I don't refer to my students as my students. When I say my kids, that's how I view them, because ultimately I'm responsible for their safety, their learning, all of those things all at the same time when they're with me. And it's a very parental thing. It's also a very friend thing. It's a weird sort of all of those things in between. We wear a lot of hats, and we get to forge those relationships. So when we have a student and we lose them, it's a blow. It's not easy, but we also got to be there for the other kids. And it's sort of one of those, dust yourself off and get ready to be there for people that might need you. And you have to be the one that they lean on. And that's the hardest part, is putting your own emotions aside, so that you can help people navigate them, maybe for the first time, as these kids navigate loss. And I saw that throughout the day on Friday, people in various stages of grief. I saw some people crying, some people angry, some people just couldn't be in the room because they were quiet and didn't want to cry or didn't want to get mad or whatever it was. Very, very difficult ending to my week. Shout out to all the administrators on our campus. They went through it this week. There was some national hoax threats against schools with violence that got called in all over our state. Not our school specifically, but one of the schools in the district, or two of the schools in the district. We've had multiple car accidents. It's nuts, man. Very, very challenging week. And then for a later episode, I'm sure, incredibly weird start to my morning. Before I even had coffee made, we were getting some wild news. We'll save that. We'll table that. I don't even know what to say, man. Like, we are all over the place. And I know one thing that I want to do later today that I'm not sure I'm going to do, because my routine was thrown all the way off this morning. I really wanted to get to the gym, and I have not made it to the gym in a couple of days, and now I'm mad about it. It's going to be P&V tomorrow morning at the gym while I'm doing hammer grip pull-ups and trying not to swing my legs into the guy that smells like he rubbed himself down with onions. That's a throwback to a previous Trap Tales. And Tyler, I know you have one for us today, so let's bring it back and get into it. It's time for another edition of Trap Tales.
This may have been even better for your health, Brad, that you have not made it recently, but this week is a new week and I'm very proud of you, because I'm going to cut right to the chase on this one. During a recent visit to my local health facility, my gym, this is another person who's there, tries to be there somewhat frequently. This fellow gym goer I've never seen this, took a phone call using speaker mode in the middle of the venue. So we were amongst the weight machines, kind of somewhat center of the gym, hotbed of activity. And I hear him talking, and so I look around. Granted, I have my headphones on, but I look over because a lot of people, you and I have spoke about this, a lot of people go to the gym for camaraderie, which I don't understand. Like, there'll be groups of 3-4 people just hanging out, talking about everything.
Never get it.
I don't want to say I'm not mad at it, but I'm kind of mad at it, because my thing is, no, I just want to be locked in. I don't want to talk to anyone. Just want to do my thing. But I look over, and this guy is going full speaker mode on the phone and having a lengthy conversation. Not an emergency, just talking about whatever they're talking about. And I thought to myself, wow, how does one gain the confidence needed to do that? And then I want to also be clear here. This guy wasn't like senile by any means. I'm very sensitive. You and I have spoken about this on and off here. Yes. I'm very sensitive to technology and how difficult that can be for those in society. I know, even with my parents, we work together sometimes. Like, hey, Mom, okay, Mom, this is how you
100%.
Screenshot. Okay, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But now I also have the humility, Brad, of me not knowing technology, and kids like the 15-year-old at the high school being able to show me, oh, this is how you add a feature to Google Drive or to Google. I would say Google Teams. That's
like, why don't you just try
Google
to do it this
Classroom.
way? And it's like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that. Yeah.
So
totally.
So I have hopefully the healthy mindset now. I'm like, oh yeah, Dad, this is how you just log into Netflix or whatever. I'm also not giving him credit. He knows how to log into Netflix, but you get my point. But I'm also at the stage where I don't know how to do certain things that people far younger than me do easily. This guy that I'm speaking of at the gym, no older than maybe 46 or 47, fit, great, neon print city, but taking a call on speakerphone in the middle of the gym, a multi-minute call. That's reckless behavior. It should not be allowed. And God bless him for his confidence. I don't know how one could do that and sleep at night.
Yeah, I've had that experience, man.
Have you really? This has happened to you?
Yes, I have.
I thought this was a new occurrence.
Sometimes not on speakerphone. Happens all the time. They'll just be loudly talking. And I'm like, did you say something to me? Or like, Beats, tap the thing on the side to mute it. Yeah. It's like,
if they have the AirPods, that's one thing, but just raw dog on
the phone. Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I was gonna say too. Just raw dog on the speakerphone.
Never seen that before.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen that before. Usually they're not. The thing I haven't seen though, to your point, they usually are off the treadmill over by like the entry couch area. They're in the middle of their workout, but they're not running just up and down and bobbing their phone around. Like, yeah, you gotta die up there. We're gonna watch it happen. I don't want to see you fall to your death on a treadmill, get your face ground off by the mat because you're stupid, because you're speakerphoning your mom to tell them like, yeah, the updates on the flower delivery.
Yeah.
But I've also heard people do speakerphone things and sensitivity, holding up to their ear, they're on speakerphone. They're holding it like it's a house phone. Like, everybody can hear this, not just everybody can hear this.
Right. And to clarify, we were kind of adjacent to the lap pull down machine. And time of day also factors into this.
Yeah.
Brad, we're talking, this is 6 a.m.
Oh yeah, turn that off. Who are you talking to at 6
Who are
a.m.
we
anyway?
talking
Like,
to? They have to be on the East Coast. That's my only logical
yeah,
answer.
makes sense. Makes sense. I'm with you. Like, that's the only excuse, and in that sense, it would have to be an emergency on the East Coast. And if that happens, why are you there? So, yeah, I have questions. I got that's wild stuff, man.
I do too. I hope your experience at the gym this week is much better than my recent visit was. And speaking of experiences, Brad, I want to know if you're ready to elevate your fantasy sports experience with Prize Picks. As you may have heard, during the women's basketball season, regular season coming to an end very soon, actually, matter of days, actually.
It's wild.
But you can still win up to 100 times your money. Imagine, Brad, turning a $10 entry into a whopping $1,000. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. You already know women's basketball remains on fire, with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese sadly out due to injury, but Chicago still in the mix. They're looking to make names alongside the greats like Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson. You could win up to 100 times your cash just by watching them ball out. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. Is that easy?
Oh, well, Tyler, we have a lot to get into, and this week was madness for me. So I'm looking forward to being able to talk about this cogently. We'll see what happens. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk WWE. I'm excited to talk movies. I'm excited about the Golden Bachelorette. I'm scared for this part, so let's roll.
Yeah. Let's attempt it here. WWE, you know, is how we kick off most episodes. The Wyatt Sicks defeated American Made. Sami Zayn and Gunther shared a ring with Bret the Hitman Hart.
That was awesome.
That it was. And I love seeing Bayley in cahoots with Naomi. We have to discuss SmackDown's debut on the USA Network. Cody Rhodes successfully defended his undisputed championship. No surprise there. However, I want to discuss what happened after the match. The Bloodline came to Solo Sikoa's defense, viciously attacking Cody. And just as Jacob Fatu was guaranteed to do something 2K worthy off the top of the cage, Roman Reigns, the OTC, returned to our television screens to fend off Solo and the crew. Later that night, we learned that Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns will face Solo and Jacob Fatu at Bad Blood on October 5th in Atlanta. My question, which team should win this match?
That's a tough question with an easy answer. Should? For which purposes? The purposes that make sense, or the purposes of growing a story and elevating other people?
The latter.
Okay, then it should be the new bloodline. They should be Cody and Roman.
I agree.
However, I believe that if it's going to happen, though, that Roman's going to have to eat the loss, not Cody.
Correct.
Because you don't want the world champ getting pinned.
Correct.
So,
would you be okay with that? A little. Can I interest you in Jacob Fatu pinning Roman Reigns?
Roman's completely bulletproof. So is Cody. But I don't want to see Roman get pinned unless it's like they're going to have to commit a murder to knock either of these dudes out. It's the only way I can see it is like there's going to have to be some sort of they're going to have to do like a Samoan spike with an actual like railroad spike for me to believe that that's what took out.
They got a one up all out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have a question about that actually. Okay. But yeah, I think they're going to have to like commit a crime to get Roman down. It won't just be interference. It's going to have to be like interference with a truck or something egregious is going to have to take place if you want us to believe that Roman got pinned in a way that makes us go, oh, okay. Because they really want to protect him too. You know, like the last time we saw him, he lost. Has he had a match back yet? I can't remember. I think he's just been back getting beat up.
Dropped the title to Cody in Philly at Mania, and that's been it.
he intervened and saved Cody from the bloodline, but since then he's been beaten up, and then he did some beating this time. I think for the sake of bringing Roman back, because the long story is probably again going to end up being Cody and Roman at some point, but I also think that it's going to be like a much bigger match and a much bigger draw for Cody versus, I don't know, one of them, all of them, Murderers Row, go through the gauntlet to remind them who the real leader of the bloodline is. And then just one-on-one beat every single one of them. And every time he does that, he's like the Infinity Stones. He's just collecting them like Thanos. Or the return of the Usos together when Jimmy and Jay back him up. Jimmy, Jay, Sammy, and Roman against the rest of them. That would be
Survivor Series War Games is the following month in November in Canada.
I don't even know if I need that. I feel like that could be a WrestleMania match for them.
That it could.
Because that would be easily, and you can have more matches than that too. You could split it between the nights, but like that would be, we'll just drag it out for a while.
The emotional investment that the fan base has. It's like nothing I've seen in a long time.
Agreed. And I think having War Games, I would love that. Do you feel like it's too close to get a really good build off of that?
I haven't considered a world in which that doesn't happen at War Games. To me, that's for sure the main event. I think timing wise, yeah, I do. I think. Well, I mean, obviously,
Sammy's so involved right now with Gunther.
He is. So he loses. Let's say he loses the Gunther, and then immediately goes into, I'm the fourth man.
Yeah.
For Team OG Bloodline. I mean, we haven't seen Jay in a long time. Jimmy's been on TV, but is he doing anything really noteworthy? Becoming of how popular he is, I would argue no. But the stuff with Rhea and Damien's pretty fun.
It's great.
You have convinced me certainly. If Survivor Series War Games was in, let's say, December or January,
if it was Rumble time,
yeah,
100%,
sure.
100%.
It has to happen in November. Like that has to, I mean, they've already sold, I think, maybe 12,000 tickets. I think a lot of people have purchased the tickets with the kind of mindset. Okay, I know I'm going to see the Bloodline. But maybe Bloodline Civil War, but Bloodline War Games. I know I'm going to see that.
I don't know if we're going to get War Games there though, because they haven't announced War Games. We could get a traditional Survivor Series match together where they're in there. Maybe they make them be on the same team.
That's interesting. Do you remember that year when they did Raw, SmackDown, NXT? That might be kind of
I would love that. Imagine Obafemi in there. I think that could be a ton of.
Can we throw TNA? Throw TNA in there in some
Hammerstone
way?
and Hendry show up to be on the NXT team.
Nick Nemeth returning. That would be something.
It would be awesome, but he'd have to come back as Nick Nemeth.
Right.
And I wouldn't want that. I would want Dolph Ziggler's return to WWE.
You want the show off, not.
I think the pop would be huge. But Matt Cardona, he wants to go back to a major company. He's had opportunities, I think, and offers from like AEW and stuff, but wanted to stay independent. So we'll see what happens there. I could see him going to AEW and fitting in really well, and I could see him going back to WWE and fitting in really well. So I just think he'd want to go back as Matt Cardona and not Zack Ryder. And I don't think he'll be able to do any of the deathmatch stuff or any of the other things that he's been doing on the indies if he doesn't go to something like AEW or TNA. So we'll see there. But I could see it. I don't know if I just feel like it's too soon to have that be a build. I mean, the payoff for Montreal for Sami Zayn took forever to get to. It started really the turn started at War Games. And it just took so long to get to that moment where he brought back the Sami music. And I want to see something like that, but I think it would be great if they're like, well, who's the last partner? We don't have anybody. And then Jey Uso's music hits. Like something like that could be incredible. Those moments, right? All about the moment would be great, but I don't know if they have enough time to make it feel earned. And, the counter to that is they've been telling the story for years now. It's been earned, but earned and believable are two different things. I don't think Jay would just run out and help Roman for no reason after everything that's happened, after the stuff with The Rock, after this, all of that. I think at that point, even Jimmy helping Jay doesn't make sense at this point. Not since they fought each other in one of the worst matches of the season and including them, everybody was disappointed in it because it felt like this is going to be one of the biggest matches of the entire event, and it was just meh. It wasn't great, and it sucks because they're both incredible and they have good chemistry with each other. So they're brothers, for Christ's sake. So I don't know why it didn't work, but they've never like squashed their beef. They still hate each other. We don't really know where Jimmy falls on this because he's been gone. Is he injured? Like real injured?
I don't think so.
He's just gone, waiting for the moment.
That's been my mindset.
Or hopefully, if he's not healthy, getting healthy.
Yeah, I certainly hope there's no injuries that he's recovering from. But I think they've just been waiting for the the payoff. That's maybe happening as soon as November.
If that's the case, and Jimmy's sort of the linchpin the catalyst to get all of them together, and just like they could do that in one Raw and be like, I'm calling out Jay, I know you're back there. Jay, I need to talk to you. And then maybe they show up later after the Gunther Sammy match and be like, we need your help. And maybe we have the conversation. Could be a fun dynamic if KO's with Sammy at that time, trying to convince him not to do it. Like, don't do it, man. You know, they're just using you. All that stuff. I think that could be a lot of fun. Add a wrinkle to the story. I think that would be awesome. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I guess the point is, Tyler, we're talking about it.
Exactly.
And that means they're doing something really right. WWE is on fire right now. I love everything that's happening over there. I don't always love their in-ring stuff as much as I love other places, but my God, the storytelling has been, it has been next level. They have such a great variety of things happening over there. Just not the hardcore stuff, which we'll get to later. Well, actually, we'll get to right now. Tyler. Okay, my question is pretty simple and straightforward because reasons. Okay, what is the biggest thing from this week in WWE, NXT, SmackDown, Raw, whatever? Is it the debut? Is it something else that happened? But would you have pivoted from a steel cage match knowing that AEW just had one of their biggest moments and events in a steel cage match that same weekend?
No. I admire the level of petty to keep the steel cage. I'm not saying that was the primary reason why they chose the steel cage match for Solo and Cody, but I'm here for the pettiness. Granted, it was a much different steel cage match than Swerve versus Hangman. Both grudge matches, yes, I would say, but obviously executed differently. One's on USA Network, one's on pay-per-view. I love it.
One much more earned than the other. One much more,
certainly. Yeah. I'm here for the pettiness. I would not have changed a thing about the stipulation.
What was the biggest thing you thought this week from WWE?
Ooh,
since it's a two-parter.
Yeah,
I cheated. Was it literal big? Was it Hammerstone?
No, yeah, I actually have Hammerstone in my notes for later. But
awesome.
That's tough. To me, it has to be Roman returning triumphantly, and the shot of him and Cody. They're so good, like you said, Brad, about the moments after Roman cleans house, and first you get the face off between him and Jacob Fatu.
Yep.
And you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is the moment we're finally going to see them square off. Jacob does his little head thing, and then Solo takes Jacob out, and then we still defer the moment of seeing Fatu versus Reigns face off. Yeah. But that shot of Reigns and Cody, when Reigns was up front on the camera and Cody was behind him, and Reigns was just soaking up, oh wow, I'm really joining forces with this blonde hair guy who was formerly my arch nemesis. That was a moment, but also so I'm choosing that number one as that moment. These two guys, after all these months and years of beefing, they're now joining forces for Bad Blood. I would also say the Wyatt Sicks on Monday, because I really am curious to follow this back half of the year for them.
Yeah.
To me, the Canadian crowd seemed a bit quiet during their match. Maybe that was just me, but much like Bray Wyatt's character in different iterations, collectively, we were all so hyped for the Wyatt Sicks from the very first moment we saw them to where we are now. I just wonder, are they going to be able to maintain that same momentum moving forward? They beat American Made, cool. There were a lot of weapons and lots of plunder. But what do we do now?
Rowan being a hoss.
I hope they're able to maintain that momentum, and I really want to see what's that next feud now that possibly American Made is in their review. So just the kind of the state of the Wyatt Six, what's next for them? How do we keep that same energy? That's also what I'm tracking. But for me, it has to be the moment between Roman and Cody finally joining forces.
I agree with you completely on all fronts, actually. Cody and Roman for sure. I think that the way that they started those matches, at least actually both of them, the first and the second match, was a lot of I respect you, you're great, you're just not on my level. It was never I hate you, I'm going to beat you because you deserve it, that kind of stuff. The Rock did that, not Roman, and I think people might watch that and forget that that's what was going on there. It was The Rock saying, I'm going to beat your family like it's personal and all this stuff. I'm going to beat you in front of Mama Rhodes and all this stuff. I think it's just different. So there was always that level of respect there. He's just like, you're trying to take food away from my family. You're trying to take away the success from my family and the bloodline. I'm the reason that we're successful, all that. I love that storyline. I think that's a great reason to want to go fight and be champ. And I love that they talk about the championship being like the money. And it just feels so old school to me. Instead of like, I'm the champ, I'm the best. It's like, no, this is, I get money from this because I am the champion of the world and I need the money because I'm a pro wrestler with a short shelf life. To your point about the Wyatt Six, I'm with you. I think there's a shelf life on that. Speaking of, I want to see wrestlers wrestle. I don't think they should wrestle again for a month or more. I think they should be the scary in the back vignette people that show up to do something gnarly. I don't think it should be all the time. I think sometimes they just should show them in the back, not even addressing somebody in a feud. Sometimes the Firefly Funhouse matches or just the Firefly Funhouse segments, Bray Wyatt would come out and he would say stuff. And then every once in a while he would reference somebody, but he wouldn't do anything about it. I think there was one time he went, welcome back, Roman, or something like that. And that was kind of it. They never did anything with it. He just said it. And I love that. Like, I'm going to reference people and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. That way you never know where he's going to show up or who he's going to attack or what the motivations are. I liked all the backstage vignette stuff, the interviews they were doing, all of that stuff, so much more than we have a match. Save it for a pay-per-view. Just have them come out during pay-per-views, or don't even have it be a match. Have them come out and attack people to screw at them, to go like, no, you earned this. This is our motivation. I think that could be so much more powerful because when that piano chord hits, you can have that Pavlovian response from the crowd and everybody busts their phones out for the Fireflies. Keep that going. But putting them on TV too much is going to make them not care. And then it's going to be like, well, what do we care about this? Because what happens when they lose?
Right.
And I don't want that to happen.
And keep them far away from any title picture.
Yes, thank you.
Nikki, yes. The guys, Bo, Uncle Howdy, do not need them chasing gold.
Yeah, because like ultimately we're here to watch them win, lose, that kind of stuff. They're there to be competitors, fictitious as it is. And we want to see them have wins and losses and stuff, but ultimately we want it to work. And you gotta make it work. As far as changing things, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm here for the petty as well. I was so excited when I heard it. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
My second thought was, is Cody jumping off the top of that thing? Is he going full into Wardlow?
Right.
Is he going to do that? Because the WWE crowd might never have seen that before. So I'm glad he didn't accidentally try to die jumping off the top of a cage into the ring. What's your favorite steel cage? Unimportant, but what's your favorite steel cage?
In terms of the architecture of
Yep.
it? Wow. I've never really thought about that. What's yours?
Old school blue steel. I love the blue cage with the bars.
Oh, wow. We're going back to like George the Animal Steel.
Yes. Yeah. 80s. 80s,
that's hard. That's
NWA,
hard
WCW. God, it was so good.
Yeah. The blue one gives lots of nostalgia. I think I even had a play set with the blue steel cage before.
Yeah, I mean, like
era
they used to,
when it was.
Yeah, they had it all over the place, but it was in WrestleManias. It was in, or SummerSlams at the very least, but I think it was in WrestleMania. I liked that. It's just I can't imagine. Isn't that the one where Flair and the Horsemen like murdered Dusty Rhodes inside of the blue steel cage.
That sounds familiar.
And then had to like run for their lives out of the arena because people were trying to kill him. Like broke his leg and all that stuff in there. Like,
Sounds familiar.
God, so good.
Dusty
But yeah, that
Flair.
blue steel cage just seems so much more brutal because it looked like a cage and not a fence.
It's a good
Because
choice.
otherwise they're in a fence match, not a cage match. Put him in a cage. I want to see bars. I want to see him hit their face against raw steel is what I want to see. Maybe I'm a masochist or a sadist.
It's a little barbaric, but yeah.
Okay, listen.
We rolled it.
We saw what happened last week in AEW.
We did. We will probably reference such later.
It was an absolute bloody mess, right? Well, so were the movies we saw this weekend and last weekend, actually, after we recorded. Tyler, let's get into it. It's time for GI at the movies. We got a Beetlejuice, and the Killer's Game to talk about. So let's hit the music.
And now, it's time for GI at the movies.
Okay, first off, I'm going to go pretty fast here. I had a lot of expectation for Beetlejuice because I love the original. And I think the original is like one of those things that if you were of a certain age or watched it at a certain age, it can become sort of this mythical thing that maybe it's not even very good, but you love it anyway because it's a Tim Burton movie and the aesthetic is great and it's unique and interesting, but maybe not even a great film. It's not a highly rated film, and I still love it. The musical, I love the musical. A lot of people don't like it, but I think the musical is incredible for Beetlejuice. So when I saw that they were finally after 15 years of speculating that a new one's coming out, there's actually a new one coming out. And I really liked it, but it wasn't awesome, Tyler. Will I watch it again? Hell yeah. Did I think they tried to do way too much in this movie? Yeah. There are like 3 subplots and none of them connected for me. Like there was the main subplot of like, we got to do this thing. But then there's like the very beginning, great Danny DeVito cameo, by the way. What is her name? Is it Catherine Zeta-Jones? I can't remember who was even in it. To be honest, that's how little of a part this is. There's this woman kind of in a box that's been all dismembered, and she puts herself together because it's in the afterlife. And then it turns out it's Beetlejuice's ex-wife from when they were living.
Huh.
And it's like all this stuff. We got to make sure we get away from her and do all this stuff. But that's secondary to everything going on in the living world. And it hardly gets addressed throughout the film. It's just every once in a while they show her looking for him. And then at the end, that just sort of coalesces. And it's like, this wasn't great. So there's a lot of subplots in there that I didn't like. There's a lot of callbacks to the original that were sort of the greatest hits, which I appreciated. There was another musical number at the end. I laughed a lot by how absurd and just stupid and over the top everything was, which is kind of what I was looking for in that. The self-awareness, the obvious in your face jokes with Beetlejuice going, all right, everybody, come on, spill your guts like this. And then spilling his guts all over the place.
Nice.
Yeah, it was, I thought it was funny. A lot of visual sight gags, a lot of really funny one-liners, lots of surprises. I thought it was fun. It's worth it to go see it. Was it great? No, but I wasn't looking for great. I was looking for a fun summer, fall, beginning of fall Tim Burton movie that I could go have a good time with to kind of relive the time that I really appreciated in my life, and listen to Danny Elfman do another score for Tim Burton. It was incredible. So I loved it. I love that the special effects were practical. I had a good time. I recommend going to see it if you like the first one. And if you didn't like the first one, don't watch it. And if you are not in a rush, just wait for it to come out. But I thought it was a good time.
Wow, that resonates. On my end, I saw The Killer's Game, and Dave Bautista plays John Flood, the most prolific hitman in Europe. While completing a mission at a fancy theater, he meets a professional dancer named Maisie, played by the incredible Sofia Boutella. John and Maisie hit it off, going on a series of dates and becoming serious pretty early in the film. Following the advice of his mentor, Flood decides to prepare for his retirement, finally ready to hang it up once he knows Maisie is the one. However, John suffers from severe migraines and is diagnosed with a fatal illness. His doctor gives him mere months to live, Brad. Big moment in the film. As a result, John decides to order an official hit on himself rather than have Macy see his regression. Of course, the plot twist occurs when John's doctor calls to let him know there's been a terrible mistake. He was misdiagnosed. John's paperwork was mixed up with another patient's. John does not have a terminal illness. It's too late to call off the hit, and the fast-paced, gory madness ensues. This was super fun, especially on the big screen. We have Sir Ben Kingsley, Terry Crews, and Drew McIntyre.
I didn't realize Ben Kingsley was in this.
Yes,
That's
all
great.
a part of the cast. No Claymores, unfortunately. That is one spoiler I will give.
Come on, Kingsley.
Also, Palm Clementiev is in this. Of course, she and Dave Bautista were in the Guardians of the Galaxy series. They're reunited. That was pretty cool. I saw it described as a rom-com disguised as an action film. I really dig that. Dave Bautista has reached that Dwayne Johnson stage for me. I will check out a film if I know he's the leading man. This film is a worthwhile watch.
Well, I'm already sold, so I'm excited to go see it. But I'll probably end up going with not my wife.
You'll really like it.
I don't think Jess will, but
I would agree with you there.
I guarantee my father-in-law will love this movie.
I think so.
I can't wait.
The cast is great. It's gory. It's. Let us know. You'll like it.
Yeah, I need to. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I've been contemplating having a day off. It's been a long week. I already took one off, man. I can't keep taking days off.
Listen, man, we know how hard you work. We got you.
Not working hard or hardly working. God, just hit me with your AEW question. I have no transition.
I'm gonna just go for it. AEW.
Yeah, do it. Let's do it.
Ricochet. He picked up another fun victory. Mariah May.
Fun match.
Good.
I love both of those dudes.
Styles make fights cliche there.
Yes.
Mariah May hasn't found a city worthy enough for her championship celebration, and we will honor that. And Jon Moxley has his match with Darby Allin for the right to become the #1 contender for the AEW World Championship, currently held by the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, at Dynamite Grand Slam later this month. Speaking of that show, Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay won the Casino Tag match, earning the right to challenge the Young Bucks at Arthur Ashe Stadium. We also saw FTR defeat GYV in the main event of Collision. Lots of tag action last week, my friend. However, the most popular tag team in the company right now is the Outrunners. The self-proclaimed youngest men alive received massive reactions across AEW programming. With all that being said, who should be the team to dethrone the Bucks?
Oh man, I'm wondering. I'm trying to read something right now because I'm trying to figure this out. So I'm filibustering because I couldn't figure out when it happened. Let's see. So Mark Davis has been injured. He hurt his wrist. Because I've been wondering where he's been, because we haven't had Aussie Open in a long time. So I had a lot of questions going into this. Number one, I think it should be those two, because I think that could be interesting if Mark Fletcher comes back, or Mark Davis comes back, and Kyle Fletcher is a tag champ with Will Ospreay. I also like the idea of Will belt collecting, and then the belt collector comes back and it's like, I want your land. I want your territory. I think that could be great.
I'm sold.
So Kyle Fletcher said there's nobody on this world that I'd rather tag with than you.
You caught that too, right?
Yes.
How did he forget about Dunkzilla like that?
That did not feel like it was an accident. I think we're setting something up there. Maybe it's an actual split of Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher, and we get a singles match between the two, or maybe they freebird it and reform the United Empire. Maybe Mark Davis and Will Ospreay are the two that convince him to leave Don Callis, because look what it's done to him. Who knows what could happen here? I think those are the most interesting stories in all of that. That being said, I want the Outrunners to be tag champs forever.
I really want them to be the guys to defeat the Bucks. This reminds me.
So do I. God.
This reminds me in some ways. These are two very different acts, but where we're at with the Outrunners, and hopefully it sustains past last week. Hopefully we keep that excitement for them this week. But it reminds me of the Acclaim on their rise. It was clear they were getting huge reactions, and I would argue that Tony Khan, AEW, took a little too long to officially coronate them as champs, right? We remember they ran the match back with Swerve in Our Glory, and then finally the Acclaim got the victory. It really struck me that the Outrunners got the reception they did. We have a lot of contenders here: GYV, FTR, who beat GYV, so they're probably ahead in the rankings. The Acclaimed are still around. Like you mentioned, we got Ospreay and Fletcher. I don't think they're winning at Grand Slam, but that should be a fun match. The Outrunners are the clear choice. Strike while the iron's hot. Let's get the youngest men alive some gold, and let's worry about the rest after the fact. This could be a huge moment. I don't even know if the Outrunners are signed. That should probably be an important first step before coronating them. But I was really struck by the reception, Brad. It's clear it's not just you, Alf, and I, and my dad who like the Outrunners. It's clear that they got a growing fan base, and I think AEW should really lean into that.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. They still haven't been confirmed to have been signed to AEW. But maybe that's what happens. Maybe they win and then the graphic shows up.
Imagine. That would be one of our favorite moments of the year.
100%. The pop would be,
come on now,
otherworldly.
Wrestle Dream, October 12th, Tacoma, Washington. Let's go.
I love everything about their presentation. The old school ring manager in the old, like,
you like the vignettes as well.
Oh, it's all so perfect. It's what I loved about wrestling growing up, right? Like it's perfect. It's like Miss Sherry's coming out there and like Marvelous, excuse me. Miss Elizabeth is what I mixed up there. But like, this is so cool because it's so stupid. It's perfect. The stupidity is what we want because it's like, looking at it on the surface, you had a coworker show up like that, you'd be like, what the hell is wrong with this person? You do that in pro wrestling and it's perfection and we're all a fan. I love it so much, man. Like I think it has to be them, but Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher make probably the most like in-ring sense. But it would also be cool for Mark Davis to interfere and cost them the match. Because I really want Aussie Open back. That tag team is great because if you get United Empire in there for trios, now we can have more fun.
Right. If there were a way to pull off Aussie Open, they would be a great answer to this question. It's either the mix of United Empire or it's the Outrunners. And granted, the Outrunners have done a lot of losing this year. So I'm not sure how seriously we're taking the rankings, but they got to get some dubs or win a casino tag match to get that shot. But other than these two options, I don't know who it would be. I don't think going back to FTR is the way right now.
No.
GYV just lost to them. Are really going to do heel versus heel? Acclaimed? I don't think so. There's
no. I don't want the Acclaimed winning anything.
There's a strong case
Bowens
to be made for the Outrunners, which I think we've started. I love Bowens too. They should not be tag champs.
But like even like Top Flight has had a bucket of ice.
Top Flight, thank you. I knew I was forgetting someone. I would love to have them in this conversation.
Me too, but they're not going to be in it because they're just dead in the water right now. Like they came out and nobody cared.
Hopefully, Action is the moment they had in the parking lot. I hope that's a turnaround. We need to take this seriously. We need to win matches. I would love for Top Flight to be the two to take the belts off. Matthew Nicholas.
Me too. And or Private Party, but like Top Flight, Private Party, the AEW kind of homegrowns are not even remotely in my consciousness. I like to see them perform, but I don't think they're a threat.
They feel like they're a different tier. It feels like
they're tier 2.
They're a tier below.
They're a 4th round fantasy draft pick, not a first 3.
The truth is,
it is. It's I would not take them off my board first. If I were talking about longevity for a company, they'd be off my board first. But right now, I can't argue that they're hotter, that they're going to sell merch, that they're going to do any of that stuff. Private Party isn't going to send merch as they're currently constructed if they're tag champs. Neither is Top Flight unless they can pull something off with their character work. Private Parties is right there, and it's obvious, and it's stupid they haven't already been champs. Dumb. Like apocalyptically dumb. But Top Flight, both those guys have just been plagued by injuries. So I just don't, Dante less so, but
Do you remember that face off between Dante and Will
Oh
in the
gosh.
tag team? That was amazing. Talk about showing up in big moments, public pressure. Dante Martin went move for move with Will Ospreay. I love seeing that.
But Dante Martin, I think, no shade, but I'd rather see him as a singles competitor. I'm tired of seeing him stuck in the tag team division because I think he's just better. He's the better of the two. It's sort of a Jay and Jimmy situation. Both great, but Jay's better. Jimmy's good, but Jay's better. So
Right.
I just think it's one of those situations where it's like, well, they're both great. They're still best in the world at what they do, or in the top echelon of what they do.
For
It's
sure.
just for character work wise, I couldn't tell you anything about either of those dudes
Yeah.
because all of the things I want to say about their character is what they do in the ring and not who they are.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know anything about them.
they've been around for a minute in the company now. Long enough where
When I started
character
watching, they
wise
were
we should
there.
have we're talking 4 years now.
2020,
Sounds
2019,
like
late
yeah.
2019.
Yeah.
They've been there forever. Or Private Party a little bit more. At least I got some catchphrases from Isaiah.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about Mark Wen, but
Likewise.
so they just need character work and character development, and they need screen time to be able to do that, and they need intention behind it. I'm not the biggest fan in the last couple of years of Chris Jericho, but like the guy knows how to make a character and build it and make it work. Because even now I'm like Pavlovian over here waiting for the hi guys. Like I hate that I am, but he made it work. That dastardly bastard made me hate him again.
Thanks, Renee.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I don't care what people say. Let me enjoy my damn wrestling. I'm trying not to think too much about it because it's like I'm not gonna like it if I do. But I like how bad it is and how he's leaned into it and made lemonade out of lemons, man. Because it's pretty good. My favorite pop of the week, though, man. Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
Wow.
When he showed up and got in Hangman's face, when the camera panned and turned back and he was just standing there, the crowd went nuts. So for people saying Jeff Jarrett doesn't belong in a wrestling ring anymore, he should retire, he should hang it up. Like, okay, watch that clip and tell me that that's still true. Double J in his 50s is better than a lot of guys are in their primes in their 20s and 30s. It's amazing to me, the longevity of that dude. He has like Ric Flair level of not being hurt despite being a wrestler forever.
Yeah.
Dude is
Yeah,
just steadfast.
Very fortunate. And it's also a product of the way he works and decisions he's made. He's been very savvy.
So Bryan Danielson, speaking of injuries, Bryan Danielson is going to fight, probably, maybe. Nigel, maybe. Darby is not going to fight Danielson, probably, maybe. Not sure, maybe. Danielson might not be fighting anyone because of the attack and the injury. However, his history has told us in AEW that if people get injured, they lose their titles. They drop them. They give them up. They put them out. But Bryan Danielson hasn't had to do that despite his injury. He's been at home. He was attempted murder is what happened. And as the crowd chanted, "This is murder" at All Out, which was amazing. I don't really know how any of this makes any sense, but my question for you is, Tyler, what do you make of all of this?
Yeah, the consistency is certainly lacking if we were to look at past injuries and where we're at. And then that begs the question, is it a legit injury or is it just a storyline injury? And with Bryan Danielson, they've historically played off of our emotions.
It's not a legit injury.
We know he's good.
Exactly.
Exactly. We know he's good. What do I make of all this storyline wise? It's frustrating because the contract that Darby Allin won all those weeks and weeks ago was, this is the title shot for Grand Slam. Mox comes out, kind of, talks some trash, and then Darby agrees to fight him for the number one contendership. Okay, I suppose, but logically, leaves a little bit to be desired. Nigel McGuinness, so happy to see him work at All In.
Yep.
Great moment for him. Looked phenomenal. Him calling his shot, and to your point, we're going to presume that Bryan Danielson agrees to the match, and then that's likely main eventing Grand Slam. We brought this up earlier, Brad, going back to the ranking system. Nigel doesn't have a win in AEW. So What do I make of all of it? I don't like the inconsistency. I'm sure, and this is what AEW always does well. We feel the way leading up to the match when we think about logistics and does this make sense? But I'm certain when we get to Grand Slam, Moxley versus Darby Allin is going to be awesome, and Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson is going to be great as well. And then I'm going to forget about all the frustrations I had and just be happy that we saw killer matches. What do I make of it though? It's the part of AEW that I don't love when it's just lacking that consistency or general logic. But they always do so well with the in-ring product that I'm probably going to be in my usual cycle of forgetting all of my feelings once they have a great show, at Arthur Ashe in less than 2 weeks.
So, yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, I'm struggling with it a little bit because the Darby Allin thing, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, he should cash in his title shot. Like, I'm not going to prove to you, Jon Moxley, yeah, you were my hero, but I'm about to win this world championship.
Is Mox okay, so Arthur Ashe is where Mox and Darby are fighting, right?
Yes, yeah, same show as McGuinness and Danielson, presumably, as of this recording.
So the only way that Mox would lose is if there's interference. So it has to either be Darby winning because Wheeler Yuta ran out, or because Bryan Danielson interfered. Those are the only possible things that I could see. Or maybe even Christian Cage. You cost me my cash in, so I'm going to cost you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could work. But
wow.
Otherwise, Moxley has to win this. He can't come back after a hiatus to be a murder monster and not win. Like that can't possibly be the thing that happens. And I can also see Mox being the one to take the title for a little bit because he's a giant monster heel in this particular character, and he's the ace of AEW.
Break glass in case of emergency.
Yes,
Mox is proven whenever you need a formidable world champ, a compelling world champ, strap him. He's got it.
Yes, on the mic, in the ring, all of it.
Yeah,
and I think it could be great, and I think that would further their agenda to change AEW or take AEW or whatever. It's not their company anymore, and do that and make Blackpool Combat Club more like what it was supposed to be rather than what it turned into. I think they're calling back to right before when he's like, I'm not going to wrestle with anybody I don't bleed with first. They even did that in the vignette. And I think this is a great callback to when BCC first started. And I love it. I love it. But man, having Darby win seems like such a throwaway now, like a garbage decision when he just won the contender thing and now he's got a champion. Like, what are we doing?
And he won. Let's not forget, he won that. I think it was a Royal Rampage match.
That's what I'm saying.
He won that 2 days after competing in Blood and Guts.
Exactly.
Again, going back to consistency and logic, Darby should be off TV for at least a week after competing in the most brutal match in the company. But he outlasted 20 other guys.
Faster.
Winners. Yes,
that's why he was gonna light Darby on fire or Jack on fire.
True that. Yeah. He was on the winning team. Well, okay. So let me ask you quickly: what is the bigger money match to main event Wrestle Dream in Tacoma, Washington? Hometown guys, Darby Allin versus Bryan Danielson, and maybe that's Darby's official coronation, or Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson.
I mean, money-wise, Mox and Danielson have to be the two that are in there. Those are the biggest names, the biggest draws. I think for AEW and the longevity of the company, you make it a triple threat.
Wow. Yes.
Right? Easy. Yes. Done. You got Mox, you got Danielson, you got hometown Darby.
Big moment for Darby. Wow.
Yeah, it would be huge. And maybe Darby wins, maybe Darby doesn't. Maybe Darby's thrown out of the ring 15,000 times after doing some piss missiles through the ropes, and Mox gives Danielson a Death Rider, and while he's on top of Danielson trying to pin him, clinging for his life, coffin drop city 1 2 3, he pins them both, smash him and stack him Roman Reigns style, and then Darby and Mox have a one-on-one, and then maybe Mox takes it from him then. That would make sense to me. That way you get it off of Danielson in an epic way. It helps the young guy. It makes him look like a monster because he just beat 2 champions, and it could be awesome. I just hope they don't have to gimmick it. I kind of want a wrestling match between those 3. If it's a triple threat, usually rules are different anyway, but I would like to see just a sort of non-interference wrestling match between all three. I think that would be the best way to go. I think it'd be great for everybody. That would sell me a ticket, like a triple threat with Darby, Mox, and Danielson. Jesus, yes, sell me that. Take all of my money.
That's intriguing. You convinced me.
It's just enough to get a pay-per-view is all my money. That's how much money I have. But take it. Tyler, as we've done this, and we are long episode today. This is a very long episode. I don't know if everybody made it here. If you made it here, if you're hearing my voice, thank you so much for listening to us, or thank you so much for using the chapter feature in the YouTube thing. If you're listening to us on audio, if you look into the descriptions, you can see the chapters and you can jump ahead to get to your favorite part of the show. But one of my favorite parts of the show is always a rose from Tyler. But today, a little bit different. It's time for a golden rose. It's the Golden Bachelorette preview, but it's still a rose from Tyler. So play the music.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
I've been looking forward to this moment for many days. Brad, they say love never ages. The inaugural season of The Golden Bachelorette premieres on Wednesday. Yet again, we find ourselves in a somewhat tenuous position with this franchise. Let's not forget Gary. He's been out of my life for a while.
Gary.
Yes.
Gary. It's Gary.
The inaugural Golden Bachelor, turns out he was a manufactured lie.
Yes.
They also did Jen Tran dirty on the most recent season of The Bachelorette. And here we are. Joan Vassos, a 61-year-old grandmother and school administrator from Maryland, is making history this week. Quickly, by the numbers, 23. There are 23 men vying for her affection this season. 57 is the age of the youngest contestant, and 69 is the age of the eldest contestant.
Pascal.
Here are
and Kim,
wow, yes, yeah, organic transition. I'm just gonna get right to it, Brad. My final four, and let's not forget for Jen Tran's season, I don't think I gave myself flowers for this. How about that? Jonathan made it to the final four. He was in my final four, my lasting final four guy. He made it to the final four. He was eliminated, and then we got to Devin and oh my gosh, who was it? I don't even remember now, Brad. However, my point is Jen left without a guy. All over social media, the speculation has been that Jonathan and Jen are together. They're spending time. They're posting about it.
Wow.
So I'm coming off of somehow possibly correctly predicting a winner in my final four last season. I just want to mention that. So I want you to listen carefully. My final four for the Golden Bachelorette. Marcus, by the way, was the name I forgot for Jen's final two. Pascal, the 69-year-old salon owner from Chicago. I'm predicting he makes it to hometown. With him will be Mark, the 57-year-old Army vet from Louisiana. He's already the odds-on favorite, Brad. You may recall he's Kelsey's dad from Joey's season. Kelsey made it to the end. Joey picked her. And now a lot of the marketing leading up to this season has been Mark is on, and presumably he's going to last a long, long time.
He's the youngest, right?
And he's the youngest. Thank you. You
Yep.
see what I did there? Yes.
Yep.
Eldest and youngest. There we go.
Yep.
This is why you're the man. My final two, Charles, the 62-year-old portfolio manager from California, and Guy, the 66-year-old emergency room doctor from Nevada. I think those guys are going to make it to hometowns. Brad, I want to know what you thought about all of that, and just generally, how are you feeling? You and I really enjoyed Golden Bachelor. There's been a lot to process since that season. How are you feeling heading into this series premiere?
I can't wait. I'm legitimately excited for this. I hate The Bachelor and Bachelorette so much, but for some reason, the Golden Bachelor and Bachelorette is just such an interesting case study to me. I'm just now going into it thinking like, what nefarious shit are we going to learn about later on, where it's like, oh, this guy was a piece of garbage, or Joan's secretly selling body parts for experimentation to some company overseas. Like, I'm just afraid we're going to find something out, because it's like, oh, retired restaurateur. It's like, well, he had a hamburger stand and then he was a custodian. Like, and it sounds like he was a piece of crap to women. And The only Teresa with an H that I still like is your mom. And I think, but that other Teresa with an H is available. It sounds like they're done already. So not great, man. Not great. Did you pick a top 5? Is that what you did?
I did a top 4.
Okay, top 4. I was struggling because I have a top 5. My picks are very similar to yours. You had Pascal, Mark, and Guy also on there. I'm also picking, let me scroll down because I can't remember what he does. Jonathan, who is the shipping consultant. I just really like that. Look at that dude. Adonis, 61-year-old Adonis. So Jonathan's on there.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, I can see that.
And Jordan, the sales manager. I think Jordan has a good vibe about him. He looks like he's probably pretty fun to be around, but he's also given me this could go either way vibes where he could be just absolutely evil and murder. There was one particular person I saw in the clip you sent me to get to know the bachelors on this one, the candidates, the contestants for Joan's Heart. And my first thought when I saw the polo shirt and saw the ramrod straight sitting and the way he spoke like this without really smiling at all. And he was very serious. I was like, okay, he just looks and sounds like the military. He just looks like the military. Turns out Kim, who is also one of the oldest, 69, is a retired Navy captain. So, of course, he looks and sounds like the military. Thank you for your service. You have no shot. I'm predicting that right now. Dude seems too buttoned up. Like, I think Joan might be like, you got to learn to let loose. If he can learn to be fun and let loose, and maybe we're not seeing everything from him, he might be a strong candidate because that dude's life is definitely put together and organized. You're not a Navy captain by accident. So I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait to see these candidates. You know, like Susan ended up being one of my favorites. And for the first 4 episodes, we saw nothing from Susan.
Right.
So who knows what'll happen? Who's this year's Susan? I can't wait.
I love the optimism. Stay tuned, everyone. We are sure to update you on all things Golden Bachelorette this season. With that being said, what did we miss from the week?
Man, I wrote down, there's a few things, but I wrote down Kendall Gray versus, I don't even know how to say her name. That's how unfamiliar I am. Tyra May Steele.
I think it's Tyra.
Miss Steele. Tyra tracks. I was like, I don't know which one's which. In the wrestlers, I didn't even know which wrestlers was watching. What I do know is that NXT Level Up had a great wrestling match on it between these two. Tons of fun. I caught the highlight clip, and then I was like, I got to go find this. Really cool things happening in the world of pro wrestling, not just on our television screens, but in other places as well. So I know we missed a bunch of those things. I know we missed, unfortunately, there was another assassination attempt today on former president and presidential candidate Donald Trump. I wish people would stop shooting at other human beings. That'd be great. Not exactly helping the political discourse in our company or helping the temperature go down. If that's your goal, please stop shooting at people. And I really like the apple crisp oat milk shaken espresso from Starbucks, Tyler. That's what I got. What do you got?
That was awesome. I got 3, actually. Quickly, as of this recording, the Emmys are tonight. Speaking of performers getting their flowers, excited to see the headlines that emanate from that show. You and I spoke about this before our recording, but I think it bears mentioning here. Kendrick Lamar was announced as the performer for next year's Super Bowl. I'm sure there will be much discourse in the months ahead, including here on GI. And then finally, ending on a wrestling note, it was another successful week for TNA. We mentioned this earlier. Hammerstone was on NXT, Phoenix's own, one of the largest humans that I've seen in person. I don't think the TV screen gives him enough credit. Wendy Chu was on Victory Road. And overall, for Victory Road, I did not watch the show, Brad, in full, but I did watch the highlights they posted on YouTube. Seemed like another great event for them. Sold out crowd in Texas. Nick Nemeth versus Moose main evented. Nemeth retained. Just seems like TNA continues to do a lot of great things.
You know, when you said that, I had the thought too. Hammerstone, man, you did get to see him in person. Really, really cool. One thing I did forget was Austin Creed cosplaying as Joe Hendry for a Joe Hendry Open. Amazing. If you haven't seen it, go find it on socials and check it out.
I got to check that out. I already popped me and I haven't even.
Yeah, it's hilarious. The wig is amazing. Like all of it is. It's so good, dude. Yeah, amazing. I have nothing else to add. I'm just so grateful for you. And if people are listening right now or watching right now, thank you for tuning in and checking us out, hanging out with us. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in our lives right now, Tyler. You are double dipping classes as we speak, as you're doing the job, the shoot job, and you're doing keynotes. You got hands and pots all over the place. You got 4AZ, great hat. Check out Tyler on 4AZ. Go to the website and check out Loud, Tyler's new piece. There are so many things happening in GI and in our lives. And Tyler, in about a month, I will also be starting 2 classes, and I am afraid. But we're going to make it. I'm teaching 4, I'm working 2. We got GI. Life is awesome.
That was perfectly said. Thank you. I love you. That's you as in Brad. That's you as in if you're hearing this, if you're watching this, like Brad mentioned, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get out of here. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.